Complete. Okay. Hello everyone, Namaste. Welcome to Gita's session. We are in the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. We'll see a quick overview of previous chapters. Okay. So I'll give a quick high-level overview. Bhagavad Gita consists of 18 chapters. 18 chapters. First 6 chapters, Krishna spoke about Karma Yoga. Middle 6 chapters, Krishna spoke about Bhakti Yoga. And last 6 chapters, Krishna spoke about Gnana. All the topics which he had covered in previous chapters, he elaborates and goes in detail and explains. Okay. So, first 6 chapters, looking at the condition of Arjuna. So, Bhagavad Gita was spoken to Arjuna. Arjuna is a warrior, mighty warrior. He was fully prepared to fight and conquer the enemies. But on the battlefield, before ready to fight, getting ready to fight, before even hitting the arrows at the enemies, he was totally grief-stricken. He dropped off his bow and arrows, and he says, "Krishna, I cannot do this. I cannot do this." Huh? In case of Arjuna, fighting with enemies or battling is his duty. That's his duty. And Arjuna says he wants to renounce. He doesn't want to fight. He says, "I better renounce. I don't want to do this." He gives various reasons why he doesn't want to fight. In case of us every day we are also in the battlefield. Arjuna was in Kurukshetra and a battlefield with enemies. We are also in the Kurukshetra, a battlefield of life. Every day is a battle for us. We are dealing with various enemies. In case of Arjuna, the army was huge. Opponent's army was huge. In case of us, if you see, our positive emotions are very low, but it varies by individual. Our negative emotions, mm, the problems, situations are so many. We are exactly in the same situation like Arjuna. And we always look for a path of renunciation. I don't want to do this. Let me find a place where I can find a peace, which is good. What Krishna is teaching is a beautiful philosophy of Karma Yoga by which a person can work and at the same time have a peace of mind. Hmm. So, what Krishna teaches is work any duty you do. In case of Arjuna, it's a fighting is a duty. In case of us, any activity we do is a duty. Any activity we do, Krishna says you do as a yajna. Yajna, a devotional service to the Lord, an offering to the Lord, as a devotional service to the Lord, a selfless service to the Lord. Okay. Krishna is saying, make him as a motive. I'm doing this for the pleasure of the Lord. I go to office for the pleasure of the Lord. I cook food for my family members for the pleasure of the Lord. Right? Now, Krishna is saying, don't change your job profile, change your mindset while working. That's all needed. Okay. So any activity you do as a devotional service to the Lord for the pleasure of the Lord, and be work focused. Don't be too much result oriented. If you are too much result oriented, we are carried away by emotions. Okay. If you are fully focused on the work, we can complete the task on time perfectly, clearly. Right? So Krishna says, don't worry about the result, be work oriented. And at the same time, when the result come in your favor, when you are successful, like when you're playing tennis, you're successful. When you're doing your duty at office, you are successful. Success is coming your way. Don't get affected by success or failure. Be neutral. Think as it's God's plan. Krishna, it is because of you I'm successful. Okay. In failure, Krishna, you have a plan for me. Okay. So Krishna is teaching a beautiful philosophy of Karma Yoga by which we can continue do our duties, whatever the roles and responsibilities we have, whatever the job profile we have, we can continue doing our duties with great joy, with great joy and happiness. Okay. So such actions will lead one to liberation, peaceful state of mind. One come out of I and my zone. Okay. So no depression, no stress, no problems in our life, in all our activities. If a person works in this mindset, with the mindset what Krishna is teaching in Karma Yoga. I repeat again what Krishna says, whatever you do as a devotional service to the Lord without attachment to the result, be neutral to success or failure, consider it as a God's plan. Okay, if you work every day like this, then you can attain uh, a purification of mind. Antakarana Shuddhi will happen. All the time you're thinking it's all because of you. But when you work in this consciousness, then you'll come out of this I and my mindset. Then when the mind is pure, this is a turning point in the fifth chapter, sixth chapter. When the mind is pure, mind is qualified to do dhyana meditation. And by such meditation, if a person start meditating, uh, initially he has to start to find a proper place to sit, mm, a isolated place where he's not disturbed, and start meditating on himself, and later on the God, bringing the energy centers on the mid of the eyebrow and top of the head. Krishna teaches various uh, Ashtanga yoga practices, which helps one to attain liberation, come out of this material existence. But hearing that, Arjuna says he cannot, it's hard for him. It is practically impossible for him. Controlling the mind, fixing the mind, meditating on the self is practically impossible for me, Krishna. And looking at Arjuna's condition, Krishna teaches this beautiful uh, theology called, beautiful concept called Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti means love, love, love. We have this love, it's naturally inherent quality of the soul. We love our children, we love our family, we love our job, we love things. It's natural, right? So we get attached to things and we want to have it. We think about it all the time. When we love an object, what happens? We think about it all the time. Right? Huh? If you love our phone, we always meditate on the phone. 24 by 7 meditating on the phone. If you are loving a celebrity, always thinking about a celebrity, we'll be watching everything, all the news channels, WhatsApp, Facebook, whatever, wherever we see, we think about the celebrity, right? So that's the nature of love. But when the love is towards the material nature, material things, that is binding. But the same love towards the Bhagavan, Krishna, is liberating. So Krishna says, fix your mind on me. That's what the subject matter in the middle six chapters. Okay. So Krishna says, fix your mind me with love and devotion. Meditate on me, practice dhyana, meditative practices. Okay. Initially, we may not have any understanding about the Lord, who God is, how God exists, what are the different ways we can perceive the Lord. All those subject matters are spoken in the middle six chapters for us to gain the greatness and glories of the Lord. When we gain the knowledge about the greatness and glories of the Lord, we develop love and attraction towards the Lord. Okay, so by which our meditation process, bhakti practices will be smooth and easier when we know the greatness and glories of the Lord. So that's why Krishna spoke middle six chapters. Okay, and last six chapters, like Bhagavad Gita ends by chapter 12, basically. Right? Whatever Krishna has to speak, he already spoken. Krishna emphasized by the practices of Bhakti Yoga, one can attain the Supreme Lord. And Krishna also gives the options, various options. You always fix your mind. Manmana bhava mad bhakti. Always think about me, always meditate on me. If you cannot do that, you take up the practices. If you cannot even take up the practices, you just do some seva, some service to the temple or organization. Then you'll develop some natural attachment towards Bhagwan. If you cannot even do that, be yourself. Be yourself, and don't try to don't get disturbed by the dualities in this world. You be yourself. So various practices Krishna gives. These are all the practices given various steps in the Bhakti Yoga. So Bhagavad Gita, whatever Krishna has to speak, he spoken, completed, and later Krishna goes in detail, takes a topic, soul, takes a topic, material nature, takes a topic called God, and it goes in detail. So if you have missed any of the previous sessions, no problem. You can catch up easily because Krishna repeats in great detail now. Okay. So we completed 13th chapter in previous sessions, and we started 14th chapter. So little bit context about 13th chapter, which is titled Kshetra Kshetrajna Yoga. So where Krishna teaches the difference between body and soul. What is body? What it is composed of? What is the soul? Why the soul is in the body? What causing the body? What causing the soul with the body uh, to get entrapped into this material existence? Why it is going to this repeated cycles of birth and death? What is the cause? Krishna just mentions the cause is guna. Karanam guna sangasya sadasada yonishu janmasu. Sometimes the soul getting a nice facilities with a nice body with nice facilities. Sometimes soul is not even getting any facilities, struggling with a not so good body. Right? What is the cause? It is soul's individual modes he's acquiring. Okay, soul is pure in nature, but where the soul gets connected with these gunas, it gets carried away, and its soul gets entrapped into this material existence. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So Krishna goes in detail about these modes. What are the modes? What are the names of those modes? Modes are three: sattva, raja, tamoguna. Sattva-guna, rajoguna, tamoguna. So Krishna defines those names, and yeah, and goes in detail about this guna. Okay, so this chapter consists of four topics. What are the modes? How to recognize these modes? And death in three modes and next destinations. If a person lives in a mode and dies with a mode with that mode, what are his next destinations? What kind of body he attains? Krishna teaches that. So we completed three sections, and today we'll see fourth section where Krishna teaches how to transcend the modes. First of all, how to identify these uh, modes so that we can uh, transcend. Okay, so I'll give a overview of this chapter now. Okay, this chapter we completed up to 18 verses. If you have missed previous sessions, so you can catch up now. This chapter is titled Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga, three modes of material nature. Okay, Krishna says, I will tell you the supreme knowledge. This knowledge, what I'm going to tell you, will help you attain liberation. You can break free yourself from the cycles of birth and death. Hmm? That's when Krishna started teaching. Entire cosmic existence, he is the cause. He's the cause of entire cosmic existence and living entities. He is the seed giving father. Okay. And entire cosmic existence, material nature, functions by three modes: mode of goodness, passion, ignorance. In Sanskrit, Satoguna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna. Okay. Every living entity or every non-living entity, anybody, everybody, any being get influenced by these three modes. Everything will get influenced by these three modes. We are a byproduct of these three modes. Our body, you see our body, right? This body with flesh, bones, and many things. It's all. It's a. it's a byproduct of these three modes. We went through that in detail in previous chapter, how it is, right? Or as part of this chapter also we went through in the beginning. And, and these modes exist in the material nature. You can see how can I recognize the modes in the material nature? It's easy. In the early morning time, when the nature is so peace and serene, that is a time of goodness. Satoguna is prevalent, high. Mm. In the nature, when there is peak summer or too hot in the mid afternoon, right? It's a mode of passion. It's a time of passion, high increase in passion. And towards the end, everything gets settled, calmed down, right? A mode of ignorance, tamoguna. We see in this nature, and we see those gunas influence in our mind and consciousness. Okay, how to identify those? Mhm. If a person has a virus or a fever, we cannot see it with our eyes. Can I see the fever or a virus with my eyes? I need an instrument, proper instrument. Otherwise, I can identify with some symptoms. If a person is sneezing too much, if a person is uh, feeling sick or not eating food, or his tongue become pale or his eyes become pale, various symptoms exist, right? Various symptoms exist. So that by that symptoms, I can identify the condition, what's going on with this person. Similarly, the modes, sattva-guna, rajoguna, tamoguna, we cannot see with our eyes, but we can identify them with some symptoms. With some symptoms. Okay. So what are those symptoms? Krishna teaches here. By Krishna teaches that sattva-guna, the nature of sattva-guna is pure. The first thing Krishna takes the first one now. Krishna sattva-guna is pure. Huh? Pure in the sense like which enables soul to gain knowledge. With our senses, sense of vision, we are in sense of vision, we are looking at things and gaining knowledge. Sense of hearing, hmm, we are hearing and gaining knowledge. Sense of smelling, we are smelling and gaining knowledge. Sense of taste, we are tasting and gaining knowledge. So all these facilities we have, we are gaining knowledge. In the mode of goodness, everything is fully functional. This is one of the symptom. If you are looking at thing, if you are looking at an email, we can read the email with undisturbed state of mind. When we are hearing a lecture or hearing our friends speak, we can hear very clearly with undisturbed state of mind. Hmm? We are not agitated like, why did you say that? This happens in our world with people interactions, like in a meetings or day-to-day activities. Like, if there is a rajas, a person is mode of passion, they try to, before some of the other speaks, they try to interrupt and cause interruption, right? That's because of rajas levels. But if a person in mode of goodness can hear the things clearly, and I can understand his passion is not disturbing, right? There's a mode of goodness. Okay, but mode of goodness also binds. How it binds? This is also one of the chain which binds the soul. So what is the how it binds? It binds with happiness and knowledge. Right? So with sense of with the senses, I'm able to hear and understand clearly. I'm gaining knowledge, right? I'm gaining knowledge. When I gain knowledge, proper knowledge, then we become naturally desirous to gain more and more knowledge, and also we sometimes become the mix of passion and ignorance. We become proud of our knowledge. And we another thing is happiness. Soul experiences happiness, joy, happiness, contentment because of mode of goodness. That's also one of the symptom. Happiness is good, that's great, right? But at the same time, in pursuit of happiness, again, sattva-guna also triggers, rajaguna also triggers sometimes. And with the mode of passion, we relentlessly in search of happiness. In search of happiness, we do good actions, bad actions, create problems to others and ourselves, and we get bound in this material nature. That is mode of goodness. The symptoms is our perception is clear. You're able to understand clearly everything, knowledge, you're able to gain knowledge perfectly. Right? Rajoguna. Next is Rajoguna. What is Rajoguna? Rajoguna make one restless. Right? So it creates, it kindles desires. Desires. There is nothing wrong in desiring things, right? But desire is also a trap. Right? There is nothing wrong in desiring having a nice car, but the same desire would burn us very badly, will make us restless, sleepless. Right? That is problem. Having a desire in itself not a problem, but the desire when it intensifies, make us restless. That is a symptom of Rajoguna. Rajoguna. It kindles desires, it kindles longings to attain objects or to enjoy through senses. Okay, sense of eyes starts pulling, sense of vision starts pulling, looking at the nice, beautiful thing. Look at this, it's a beautiful thing. Watch this, enjoy it. Sense of taste pulls it. You know, try this, try that, try this, try it. Makes one restless. Hmm. This sense of this is Rajoguna, Rajoguna. Hmm. And and how it binds? It binds the living entity by making him fulfill the desires, like in the pursuit of, now that he got the desires, longings, he does actions to fulfill the desires, and because of his actions he is getting bound again. Right? And tamoguna, mode of tamoguna, so we went through that in detail in previous sessions. It's a recap. So tamoguna, what are its symptoms? Uh, it creates misunderstanding, it blocks the knowledge. That means we are hearing, nothing is making sense to us. Right? Well, I mean, we are inattentive. Nothing is going properly, right? Or are totally misunderstanding, right? We're looking at an email, WhatsApp message, we quickly react to it, or we totally misunderstanding it. It's all because of tamoguna, or carelessness, madness, laziness, sleep. Huh? These are all symptoms of tamoguna. So all these gunas bind the soul. Okay. And Krishna also teaches when the moods increase, now symptoms increase, right? If a person has a fever, when fever increases, what happens? Um, these modes when they increase, right? So satoguna increases, then a person is fully functional. Fully functional. He's A plus. He's able to understand clearly, function clearly. Everything is uh, able to hear clearly. All the senses are fully functional. His mind is undisturbed. If a person's mind is undisturbed, he can achieve anything in this world, right? So that's the state of goodness. When the mode of goodness increases, when the mode of passion increases, the greed increases, the intense endeavor, and his hankering increases to enjoy through senses, and he becomes totally restless. And more of ignorance increases, he becomes lazy, tired, careless, madness, illusion, totally wrong perception, totally misunderstand things. Uh, So certain things happen in our life. Why that happens? Krishna is giving the answer here. Right? Why certain emotion happen? Why greed happens? Why anger happens? Why laziness happens? Why madness, illusion happens? Why carelessness happens? Why misunderstanding happens? What is the cause? Krishna is clearly defining here is because of these modes. So what is the cause of modes? Are we like a puppets in the hands of these modes? You can see in this picture. Are they pulling us? Okay, you be in goodness now. You be in passion now. You be in ignorance now. No, no. It is according to individual living entity, according to individuals' habits, the eating habits, living habits. Hmm. These contribute a soul to be in certain mode. If a, there are We went through that in detail in previous session. If a person want to be in the mode of goodness, he has to eat a sattvic food. In Ayurveda, there is a nice description of sattvic food. So a person has to eat a sattvic food, the food which doesn't trigger our emotions, that doesn't stimulate our emotions and create restlessness in the mind, right? That doesn't do that. That's the mode of goodness food. So we'll see that list in 17th chapter. Krishna goes and mode of the food in the mode of passion, which stimulates, triggers, make one restless, right? Hot, spicy things, right? So various things. Um, we'll see that later in 17th chapter. But yeah, certain food types which contribute one to this mode of passion, and also the rajasic content, the type of content will let go into our mind and consciousness. Watching a TV channel, I'm watching a TV, right? So I have an option to watch when I watch, what happens, all the data content goes from the TV into in our mind, and it triggers our emotions, thought process, emotions, right? If you watch a sattvic content, for example, Bhagavad Gita is a sattvic content, right? Or about anything about the gods pastimes, Ramayana or anything, it's a sattvic content, right? Hmm? So that content which doesn't uh, trigger my emotions, right? It doesn't make me mad, right? It's pure content, right? So when I'm hearing, watching a TV, watching a movie, right? So I'm undisturbed, right? So that's a good content. The certain content, if you're watching a movie, we carry those emotions. We all experience this, right? We all have this experience. We become restless. All those thoughts come into our mind, which triggers our desires. Certain content, if you watch it, it really happens. It happened to everybody. We all have experienced it. Certain content, if we watch it, which will trigger our desires, emotions, thoughts, which will make our restless. Right? So, yeah, and certain content which will make one terrorist. uh, that's why it's our eating habits, our living habits. These contribute, and it is because of our lifestyle, our habits the modes function. The modes propel us to make us function in this way. Mm. So it's not God is not the cause of my emotions, or this Prakriti nature with three modes is not the cause. It is we are the cause. Right? That's the thing. And okay, so third section, Krishna talks about death in three modes. Okay, so if a person in the mode of goodness, maybe he's sleeping, but he's having a peaceful sleep, undisturbed state of mind, nice sleep. Or maybe he is dying in a hospital or many situations, we don't know. But what matters is his mindset, thought process. If he's in sattvic mode of goodness, he attains a higher stages, right? So it could be higher planets, or it could be within the earthly planet where all the family members are very much conducive to spiritual advancement. Everybody is favorable to spiritual advancement, right? So this is death in the mode of goodness. His next lifetime will be more conducive to elevate himself. Okay, this is good, but we also doesn't want we want to live in trance, right? So that is like in connection with the God, in connection with the God. When we leave the body in God consciousness, at least practice throughout the life in God consciousness, then we don't get higher planets or favorable next lifetime, but we'll get a spiritual planet. Okay, spiritual planet. That's what Krishna teaches later. Okay, but at this 14th chapter, the context is just this one now, as of now. But later Krishna teaches like if you think about me, meditate on me, even when you leave the body. Each chapter also Krishna covered, right? So when you leave the body, by thinking about me, in conscious of me, when you leave the body in conscious of me, you can attain me, guaranteed, Krishna said, right? So if a person dies in the mode of passion, person dies in the mode of passion, so he'll be born in a place where everybody is busy working, like totally busy with desire motivated actions, fulfilling desires, only dharma, artha, kama. Right? There is no concept of moksha. They're not interested in moksha, but they're all, living a dharmic life and enjoying through senses, and that's it. That's our period, right? Nothing else. So if a person is a mode of passion, he'll next lifetime also is he will be given a family, a place where he's like that again. He continues continues, right? So but if he's lucky enough, if he has done good karma, 18th chapter Krishna covers, if a person has done good karma, like some spiritual practices, listening to Bhagavad Gita lectures, or doing some charitable donations or anything, then there's a good chance that he will be given a chance to attain the Supreme Lord, break free from the cycle of birth and death. Right? So, so if a person in the mode of passion, in the next birth also it continues, but he has done good karma, then is a good chance for him to be liberated. Okay, person in the mode of goodness, ignorance, ignorant, tamasic. Okay, he's eating tamasic food. His lifestyle is tamasic. He's always carelessness, mad, lazy, sluggish, and inattentive. Like and that's how his life is. Like totally wrong, misunderstanding, and creating problem to himself and others. Right. So that those kind of people. Right. If a person lives in that consciousness and leaves the body, he'll be given animal body. Next lifetime, he'll be given a lower species where there is no growth of knowledge. There is no choice for him to gain knowledge of soul, Bhagavad Gita. No, right? That's not an option. But if he has good karma, and there is a good chance for him to elevate himself later. Okay, so after rebirth also it continues. So what are the mode they were in previous life, they're gonna continue in next lifetime also. Okay, so this is what we covered in this chapter. 3 sections we completed. Okay, and we're gonna see the fourth section where Krishna teaches us how to transcend these modes. How to transcend these modes. The only thing what Krishna says is to transcend the modes, one has to have unalloyed devotion, bhakti towards the Lord. Pure devotion, loving devotion unto the Lord is the only way to transcend the modes of material nature, and we can elevate ourselves. Elevate ourselves. Okay. So now that Arjuna had heard all these things, we all have heard all these things what Krishna is saying. It's quite terrifying, right? Terrifying. These modes are propelling me to act in a certain way, and if I die like this, I'm gonna attain like this body, right? So Arjuna is also in the same mindset. Arjuna is also in the same mindset, and he asks questions. Okay, and we'll see those questions now. What kind of questions he answered? What is the answer Krishna gives? So essence of this chapter is understand how you are bound by the three modes of nature and learn the means to break free from this bondage. Mode of satoguna, goodness, mode of rajoguna, passion, mode of tamoguna, ignorance. They bind the living entity and perpetuates the cycle of birth and death. Okay, they are the real cause. We need to know that why they are acting on me and find a means to break free. And it's quite philosophical. I hope you can understand. Okay, I'll ask someone to read. This is a verse for today.
नान्यं गुणेभ्यः कर्तारं यदा द्रष्टानुपश्यति गुणेभ्यश्च परं वेति मद्भावं सो अधिगच्छति. When one properly sees that in all activities no other performer is at work than these modes of nature, and he knows the Supreme Lord who is transcendental to all these modes, he attains my spiritual nature. गुणान एतान अतीत्य तृण देहि देह समुद्भवान जन्म मृत्यु जरा दुःखैर विमुक्तो amrutam ashnute. When the embodied being is able to transcend these three modes associated with the material body, he can become free from birth, death, old age, and their diseases, and can enjoy nectar even in this life.
Thank you. So Krishna spoke about these modes. Modes are three in nature. Their symptoms. How can we identify these modes in our mind and consciousness every day, right? And when the modes increases, what are its symptoms? Krishna spoke that. And the death in modes also spoken. Everything about the modes is spoken, right? And Krishna says, when we are living every day, everyday lifestyle, every day, these modes act on us. Sometimes we are in the mode of goodness. Sometimes the symptoms we know, right? So I'm not going to repeat the symptoms again. So sometimes you're in the mode of goodness. Sometimes you're in the mode of passion, sometimes you're in the mode of ignorance, and 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 we act in a certain way, hmm, and we're pulled and propelled by these modes. What Krishna is saying is, na anyam gunebhya kartaram. Kartara means like doer. So sometimes we think I am the cause of my emotions, whether it could be gaining knowledge, whether it could be anger or sometimes envy, hatredness, all these emotions. It's all because of gunas. Okay, these gunas are the one which are propelling a living entity to act in a certain way. Mhm. And if a person can understand drishthanupashyati, if a person can see and understand, like it is because of gunas. Okay, if a person in the mode of goodness, we can see ourselves. Now that we know the symptoms, we can see ourselves which mode we are in, right? And when we are carried away, when we are getting pulled by these emotions, mhm, by these modes, mode of passion, like we become restless, like we multitask and become restless and do many things, parallel things, and we are always in disturbed state of mind, right? That is because of mode of passion. Okay, and if we do not have knowledge, we are carried away like this. We will be like this forever, right? When we have the knowledge, it is because of mode of passion. Anupashyati, if a person can see that, these modes are one which are propelling the soul, uh, and such a person can only understand Gunabhyasa Paramveti. Such a person can only understand the God. And such a person only can take up the path of spirituality and practices, and such a person can attain the Supreme Lord. Madbhavam sadhigacchati. Can attain the nature like God. Okay, like God doesn't mean we become God. Or we will have temples everywhere. No, will not be given a temples or anything. God is only one. God is only one. God lives in the spiritual world. Okay, so when Krishna always says throughout this Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says you will attain a nature like me. Doesn't mean we become God and everybody will build temple and do arti to us. No, that's not the thing Krishna is saying. So yeah, that means what it means, Krishna. So when you say we attain a nature like you, what it means? Krishna himself gives the answer here. Janma murtyu jara dukkher vimukta amritanashrate. Okay, so if a person can see these modes, how the modes are triggering him, enabling him to function, and propelling him to do his duties, and making him carried away by so-called emotions. If a person can see that, be such a person only can be liberated. What is the state of liberation? Janma mrityu jara dukkha. Janma means birth. Mrityu means death. Jara means old age, and dukkha means disease. Dukkha means disease or stress, distress. Okay, so person will be freed from there is no from birth, disease, old age, death. Okay, there is no birth, disease, old age, and death. No suffering, no old age. Okay, that is a state a soul need to attain. Right? So, in our conditioned state, we attain a body, we live a life, we do good actions, good karma, bad karma. We are carried away by the so-called modes, and because of this, we are given a body, and where we have to go through this Janma Mrityu Jara Dukkha every lifetime. Every lifetime is happening again and again, again and again, again and again. Hmm? Gunanetan Atitya. Like one has to learn to transcend the modes. That's what he's saying. If a person can learn to transcend the modes, even while living in this body, okay, even while living in this body, if a soul can understand this, uh, why these modes are acting on me, even in this body, he can attain the state of deathlessness, right? So, how if a person's practices spirituality, it's simple, right? In a conditioned state, we live however we want, no problem. The person has to go through Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi forever. We'll keep that aside. If a person want to come out of this Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi, birth, disease, old age, death, birth, disease, old age, death. If a person wants to come out of this, he has to do something. Has to do something, right? He has to first gain the knowledge, gnana, and the find the means to come out of this bondage. That is by the practice of Bhakti Yoga. Krishna teaches that later in the 26th verse. Okay. माम चया विविचारेण भक्ति योगेन सेवते sagunan samatiyetan brahmabhuyaya kalpate. Krishna says only by bhakti, devotion towards the Lord only, one can transcend these modes. One can transcend these modes, and also one can transcend this birth, disease, old age, death cycles. Okay. So, I spoke many times, I said many times about this one that the entire universe lasts for 311 trillion years. 311, 11 trillion years. Okay. And within this universe, there are many, many planetary systems, and we are in the Earth realm. Earth realm. Even in the Earth realm, there are many, many species. There are 8.4 million species. Million species, right? They're all living entities. Every living entity, every all living entity, they are going through this birth, disease, old age, death. Okay, birth, disease, old age, death, and suffering. They're going through. Everybody going through. Okay, we are also going through. Okay, so when we get a human body, that makes us special. When we attain a human body, that makes us special to gain the knowledge. How can I overcome these modes? Why am I going through that? Why are these emotions acting on me? Why are these emotions triggering me? Why are these emotions making me bad? What is the cause of these emotions, this guna? What is the cause of this guna? My habits. Let me work on that. And more importantly, I can do something with my own effort. Right? If a person has a disease, he can go to a store and take a medicine, hmm, over the counter medicine. That helps. If the disease increases, he has to just go to doctor and say, Doctor, you help me. I can't do anything by myself now. Right? There's a thing Krishna says, that's Mam Choya Vicharana Shloka. 26, verse number 26. And Krishna says, you just surrender unto me, you take shelter of me, you practice bhakti yoga, then you can easily overcome these modes. Even in this life. Okay? Even in this life. Now Arjuna has heard this about the modes. And Krishna says, if you can understand these modes acting on you, how you are being propelled by these modes, and you'll be overcome, huh? You'll attain the state of, you can attain liberation, huh? You can pass through this Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. You don't have to go through this. You can attain liberation if you can understand more. So now Krishna is asking, Arjuna is asking question. Okay, his question is, Krishna, how can I identify this person? Okay. I live in a world, I see people around me. Everybody is, everybody, everybody is going through these emotions, right? Everybody is pulled and propelled by these gunas. In my family members, I can see, my children, I can see, they are sometimes in the goodness, their passion, their ignorance, sattva guna, rajaguna, tamoguna. In a place where I work, in a place where I go shopping, we can see this. These gunas acting on everybody, right? So now what Arjuna is asking an important question now. Can you tell me anyone who transcends these modes? Is there anyone who has transcended these modes? If yes, what are his symptoms? What is his behavior? Okay, and how does he transcend the modes? He has three questions. What are the symptoms? When I look at him in the park or in a place, in a party, when I look at the person who has transcended the modes in a party, I look at him, I can identify, yes, this person has transcended the modes, right? And if I need to identify what are his symptoms, if I need to know what are his behavior, like how he talks, how he walks, what's his lifestyle, mm, and uh, and how to transcend these modes. Okay, that's the three questions Arjuna is asking. Okay. Um, it's like if a person has a disease because of some virus, he has a disease and he is diseased, and he's seeing everyone deceased. Everyone deceased. Right? So now this person will realize, okay, what is a healthy state? What is a healthy state? Right? So when there is no disease, how the person lives, right? So that natural question, it's a natural question. Arjuna is asking this natural question. Okay, now Krishna answers. We'll see that. 721. I think we can go through few of it. Okay, and yeah.
श्रीभगवानुवाच प्रकाशं च प्रवृत्तं च मोहम् एव च पाण्डव न द्वेष्टि सम्प्रवृत्तानि न निवृत्तानि काङ्क्षति उदासीनवद् आसीनो गुणैर्यो न विचाल्यते गुणा वर्तन्त इति एवं यो अवि यो अवतिष्ठति निङ्गते समदुःखसुख स्वस्थः समलोष्टास्म काञ्चनः तुल्यप्रिया प्रियो धीरस्तुल्यनिन्दात्मसंस्तुतिः मनापमानयोस्तुल्यो मित्रारिपक्षयोः सर्वारम्भपरित्यागी गुणातीतः स उच्यते.
Okay, Gunatita Sauchete means like such a person is called a Gunatita, the one who has transcended these modes. Okay, so Krishna is giving a list here. We'll see that list. So translation. Anyone wants to read English?
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O son of Pandu, he who does not hate illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present or long for them when they disappear, who is unwavering and undisturbed to all these reactions of the material qualities, remain neutral and transcendental, knowing that the modes alone are active, who is situated in the self and regards alike happiness and distress, who looks upon a lump of earth, a stone, and a piece of gold with an equal eye, who is equal toward the desirable and the undesirable, who is steady, situated equally well in praise and blame, honor and dishonor, who treats alike both friend and enemy, and who has renounced all material activities. Such a person is said to have transcended the modes of material nature.
Thank you. So this is a list Krishna is giving. Yeah, I know these things are hard. We may not have transcended, right? We are in the conditioned state. Everybody's in conditioned state, right? So we looked at the symptoms, the mode of goodness, passion, ignorance. What are the symptoms? Every living entity go through the symptoms, right? So we are in the conditioned state. So Krishna is talking about the person who has transcended, right? Transcended. It's not like transcended person, he'll be like after 100 years or 110 years or after death he'll transcend. No. Right? So he could transcend next day or he could transcend the modes next hour also. Right? That's the beauty, right? It's not like, person has to practice certain things for 100 years and only then he transcend. We may not know, we might be transcending these modes, right? So sometimes we see this like in happiness and distress we are neutral. We are neutral, that means we are stand transcended, right? So we cross that. So maybe it's because of our previous life, we have practiced certain things which are helping. Some certain people we see certain happiness too much elevated, distress too much, distress too much dejected, they go into depression and they commit suicide. Because of tamoguna, because of tamoguna. uh, yeah, it's not like practices help. Like what are the practice? Certain practices we do, those helps, and we'll see this one by one now. Okay, so prakasham pravrittim moham. Prakasha means illumination. This is the nature of Satoguna, right? So illumination, our thoughts are pure, our actions are pure, we are experiencing happiness and we are gaining knowledge, the mind is stable, we can understand things clearly. That is the nature of Satoguna. Rajoguna pravrittim. When we are doing passionate actions, fully disturbed, uncontrolled by mind and senses. This is the nature of Rajoguna. These are the symptoms. Tamoguna, you're fully illusion, confusion, madness, carelessness, uh, creating problems to others. This is the nature of Tamoguna. What Krishna is saying, a person who has transcended, when this happens, when Satoguna happens, when Rajoguna happens, and Tamoguna happens, like these kind of emotions happens in our mind and consciousness, okay, he doesn't lie, he remains neutral. Okay? He remains neutral. He doesn't hate, okay, or doesn't like. These like and dislike are dangerous. Right? We started liking, he get attached, he start disliking, he go into a depression, right? So one has to remain neutral. One has to remain neutral. Okay. So such a person who can do this, who can attain the neutrality state of mind, such a person is a gunatita. For certain, for we may not be at that stage, right? But certain practices will help. So we'll see that what are the practices we can do from our side in the next session in detail. But this shloka, what Krishna is saying here is, when there is a symptoms, satoguna, rajaguna, tamoguna, he doesn't crave for happiness. This is gunatita, okay? The person who has transcended the modes. Okay? He doesn't crave for happiness. In this world, everybody crave for happiness. We eat good food, we cook good food, we associate with good friends for what? It's just to experience joy and happiness. Is that wrong? No, that's not wrong. Okay, but is it making me restless in my pursuit? Is my pursuit of happiness making me restless? That's a problem. That's a problem, right? So, Gunatita, one who has transcended the modes, is like the happiness comes. Like he thinks it's some God's arrangement or my something good I have done in my past life, whatever. He doesn't get overjoyed. He remains neutral in happiness, right? And he doesn't uh, crave for unnecessary knowledge. There's so much knowledge everywhere. He takes whatever is needed. He gains knowledge, but he takes whatever is needed. uh, and when his mind is disturbing, right? So he remains neutral. How is it possible when our mind is uncontrolled, when our senses are uncontrolled? He knows very well. Who is that? His Gunatita knows very well. It is because of these modes which are acting on him. Modes which are acting on him. Okay, that means he knows the cause. If a person has a fever, the cause is virus. There's a cause and effect. Effect is fever, cause is virus. If a person has any of these symptoms, which is here listed here, and he knows what is the cause. Okay, when he knows the cause, then you know the solution. You're not disturbed. Right? Simple. When he is totally uncontrolled, he knows he's getting uncontrolled, and he works to come out of it by the practice of yoga, bhakti yoga, meditating on holy name of the Lord, and taking up practices of bhakti yoga, and we are not there yet, right? So but we practice to attain this state. That is the thing, that's our learning, and we practice to attain this state. So we'll go in detail next session, but we'll see a nice story. I have many things to speak, but we'll see a nice story and we'll end the session here. Okay, so this is a beautiful story, a nice story about Lord Jagannath. So last week we celebrated the Rath Yatra here in St. Louis. It was very joyful, and we're still in that mode, and we're gonna meditate on Lord Jagannath. There's a beautiful story about how Lord Jagannath is so much connected to his devotees and helps his devotees. Right? So the story of a Jayadeva Goswami. Jayadeva Goswami is a great devotee of the Lord. He's a great poet. Composed many poems and shlokas. Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare. We have heard this, right? It's coming from Jayadeva Goswami. He's a great devotee of the Lord. So he has written a wonderful uh, poem called Gita Govinda. This is in glorification of Lord Krishna's pastimes. Lord Krishna's pastimes. Gita Govinda. Um, and he, now that he has written this, he want to offer it to the Lord. He want to offer it to Lord Jagannath. Okay, and he made a plan to offer it to the Lord He want to document it. And he is the way he want to document it, he want to put print it on a cloth. Okay, he goes to a place where the people weave the cloths and all the things. They do the prints and everything, right? So he goes to the place and and he inquires, hey, I want to offer my Gita Govinda, this poem, to the Supreme Lord Jagannath. So you take it and you print it on this cloth. And those people were like, we are not so educated like you, going by taking word by word and doing this. So you do one thing, you just recite. Okay, you recite with your own mouth, you recite, we hear it, and we try to print it. Okay, we look at it and we'll try to print it. Okay, we also want to hear what you have written, right? So that's why we just don't want to just blindly go and print something. So just you speak, we hear it, and we'll try to print it right away. Then Jaydev Goswami started reciting Gita Govinda. Okay, his prayers are very confidential pastimes of Radha and Krishna, and glorification of Supreme Lord Jagannath. So the way he's reciting, he was in total trance and ecstasy. And at one point, uh, he was into trance that he couldn't speak anymore. He was totally absorbed in the Lord, totally absorbed in the Lord. He couldn't speak anymore. That time, the weavers were weaving this and printing. They are worried like, why this stopped? This work has to continue. We don't want to go and redo the work again. So they were worried. Uh, but at that time, same time, they thought of going and disturbing the trance of Jaydev Goswami. But that time, a an old man comes. He says, "I am the brother of Jaydev Goswami. I too know Gita Govinda. Okay, I will recite. Let him be in the trance, no problem. I will recite for you. You print, you start printing. You hear it and start printing. Now the old man started printing, started speaking, reciting Gita Govinda. And then the viewers, they started. Yeah, the viewers, they started doing the work. The work is continued now. Work is being continued. Okay, so later, the Jaydev Goswami comes out of the stands and he inquires like, what happened? What happened? Huh? And did you complete the work? Then the weaver says, yeah, we're done, we're done. And he's quite worried, like, I don't think I was speaking. Then this worker said, like, there was a person who claimed that he's your brother and he is the one who recited Gita Govinda, so we are able to do this. And Jaydev Goswami says, I compiled this poem. Nobody knows this. Nobody knows this. Nobody knows this. I compiled this poem. It's very confidential. Nobody knows this. How could anybody know? Hmm? Then that time he realized it is a divine intervention. It is God, Jagannath, who came, and he is the one who decided the Gita Govinda because the Jagannath liked it so much. The Supreme Lord liked this Gita Govinda so much, he also recited with his own mouth. Okay, so since then, in the Jagannath temple, in the Puri Jagannath temple, this Gita Govinda is being recited every day to Lord Jagannath. So Lord Jagannath loves Gita Govinda. Okay, and the cloths are being offered with these imprints. Okay, so anyway, the moral of the story is uh, we go through many things in the life, many situations happen. Okay, we are not a gunatita. What Krishna is saying, transcend the modes, come out of these modes. We are not there yet, but we need to have a sincerity and practice, just like Gita Govinda. Then there will be a divine intervention, guaranteed divine intervention. God is the one who helps us to cross any problems in our life. All God sees is our purity. That's it. Okay, so with that, I'll stop here. Thank you all for joining the session. If you have any thoughts, questions, or sharings, you can do now. Thank you. Hare Krishna.